guys, welcome back to my channel, Creativity and Inspiration. I'm Lisa. If you're new, I am so happy you found us, and if you've been here 1, 2, or more times, thank you, and I hope you're enjoying it. Today, we're talking about something really cool, and I'm super excited. We are talking about guest checks and how you can alter them and make them look really cool, and what you can use them for. First, I thought we'd talk about what are guest checks. And way back in the day, when you would go to a restaurant and a waiter or waitress would come take your order, this is what they would use. So that is where they're from. And I have found mine. I found whole books of these, probably a stack, probably about 8 or 10 books at a thrift store one day. And I bought them because, hey, this is what you buy, right? If you do paper crafting. And I still have a bunch. I've given some away, but I still have a ton. I've sold some. I've traded some. They're really great to use. So let's get into how you can decorate them and where you can use them. Let me I had some pulled out here. And we'll start. Now, first and foremost, you can use them as tags. But on Wednesday of this week, Wednesday or Friday of this week, I will be doing a spring-summer tag. And this is just kind of a little preview. So I will cover using guest checks as tags during that video, so stay tuned for that. So how can you use these? Well, you can make the matchbooks out of them. You know, where you fold them and you put a little pad of paper in here, or you just let this be the pad. Or maybe you put a special something inside, maybe some fabric, whatever, and you make it into the matchbook. So that's a great use for these, okay? Another way you can use these, like I said, is tags. You can use them as pockets. This one, because each guest check has this little part at the bottom that would be torn off, you can fold that up and it naturally creates a pocket. And this is a coffee dyed guest check, as you can see. And I decorated it with old stamps and with some fabric, some muslin, and some paper ribbon, which is a little different. And then I stuck a vintage lady. And it gives it a real vintagey feel. And it's a great pocket. You could put it on a page in a journal as a pocket, or you could have it as, you can use them as a pocket on a page. You can use them as a tip in, tip out, because there's also always great room on the back. You could even put these in a pocket, even though they're a pocket. And they look really good when you coffee stain them and decorate them as vintage. But don't be afraid to cut them up. You don't have to leave them whole to use them. Here I've put some strips of one into a paper collage, what to do with paper strips. And I'll put that video above. And as you can see, they just add a little interest because they're pre-printed. And it just gives it a different look. Here's another one. Here's another one where I've added it into my paper scraps and made it part of the collage. You can cut this apart and use different parts of it. Guest checks just give interest because they're already printed on. Another way you can use them is obviously you can decorate a bag with them. You can mix them with different papers and create page borders like this, where you can definitely tell it's a guest check. So that could be a page board. Turn it sideways. It could be a belly band. Put it at the top, it could be a tuck spot. Put it at the bottom, it could be a pocket. So lots of uses. Don't be afraid to cut them up. You can also take them and cut them into ticket shapes and make interesting tickets out of them. You can use different parts for tabs on journals if you wanted to. Or you could cut some sections out like this and use them to highlight words in your journals, like we did with the individual tickets in another video. So there are a lot of great uses for these. They can also, a whole one could also be used as a cover. It could be for if you want to make a notebook or a smaller journal to go inside a bigger journal. This could be the cover. Just decorate it. You could bind it by sewing across the top or poking holes on the side. So it could be a cover, or it could be a canvas, which you could put in the center of a journal cover. Make a beautiful picture on here and then use that as a main focus on a cover. You could also use these as, you know, those arrows to point on certain days that something special is going on. All you have to do is cut them out and place them on there, which I will show you. So there's a lot of uses for guest checks. I know there's at least, let's see, 10 uses for guest checks. Tags, pockets, tuck spots, page borders, belly bands, matchbooks, highlight for words. You could make them part of the decoration, like using strips or chunks to create something. You could cut shapes out of them. You could cut flowers and arrows and that sort of thing. So there's 10 uses for guest checks right there. So, okay, we know how to use them. How can you decorate them? Well, besides decorating them in a vintage style, which all I did was I took a guest check, I coffee stained it, and then I folded that tab part, this bottom part, up because that's where the natural crease is. I sewed it on one side, and I also sewed some muslin, and then I glued some stamps and some paper ribbon on there, and then I threw in my vintage lady just to finish off the look. So that's a real simple way to decorate them. If you're making the page border, the belly band, or something like that, you can either put the guest check on top or your pretty paper on top, whatever you want to do. I would do it this way. I would glue them together. Let me get my glue. Okay, and I'm going to glue it where you can still see it's a guest check, obviously, because I think it's cool to be able to see what you're using. Okay, so I'm going to glue that down. And then I'm going to take my flower and glue that down. And I'm going to cover up this hole on this paper because it has a hole for some reason. Then I'm going to take my flower and just glue it down. Then you could put something blingy inside if you wanted to. Hold on. There we go. And there you have your page border, your tuck spot at the top, your pocket at the bottom, or your belly band in the center. Great, simple, easy. Didn't take us that long. You can see what it is, but it's very interesting and it would make a big impact on your page. For the for the matchbooks, of course, you can decorate them. You can layer them with paper. You can paint them. You can decoupage them, whatever you want to do. I am going to show you how to take a whole one and this can be a cover for its own journal. This can be the centerpiece, the canvas for the center of your journal cover, or it can go on this bag and it will decorate it. So let's just decorate our guest check real quick. And how are we going to do it? Well, we're going to use my rules, okay? We're going to do a base paper and then a pretty and then some rub-ons because you can either stamp or do rub-ons. So I'm going to use just these items right here, and I'm going to put some of this plain paper across there. And I want some of the guest check to show because it is interesting. Then I'm going to put my flower and my butterfly. And then my colored paper, I'm going to tuck over to the side, kind of layer it under the greenery of my flower, like that. Then it still needs a little something, so I'm going to come in with these bits of music paper and just kind of tuck them around. And then I think I'll put this one over here. Okay, something like that. And that looks really good. We've got our base paper, our guest check. We've got some colored paper, and then we've got our star, which is our flower, and our butterfly. I'm going to glue that down, then I'll come in with some rub-ons to finish it all off. Kind of like that right there. And then I'm going to come in with my bits of music paper and just kind of tuck them around so they look organic, like they should be there. Because I don't need a lot, I just need a little bit here and there. And you just do it whichever way, you know, you'll feel it when you build it. But this is so cool because it's like working on a canvas. Okay, so there is our canvas. I'm going to trim off some of the extra, though I'm not going to trim off the butterfly. I'm just trimming off the extra plain paper. Okay. So there is our main focus, our picture. We used our guest check as a canvas, and we just followed our rules. A base paper, and then we did a colorful paper, then we did our star, which is our flower and our butterflies. Then we came back and added some base papers around where we thought they might need to go. Now to finish it off, we're just going to rub a little bit of our rub-ons, or you could stamp at this point, whatever you want to do, because we are using the formula for a great mixed media piece. As a mixed media artist, I love to use the mixed media formulas, which is, you know, a little stamping or rub-ons just to create some interest. And I don't know where my little stick went, but now I'm just doing the rub-on. I'm just doing a little bit of it right there. You don't have to rub so hard if you want it just to be kind of partial. You know, just do it a little light. There we go. And then I'm going to do just some bits and pieces around of a couple of letters. That, and we'll do something like up here. Maybe something right here. Yeah. And we just did a little bit of rub-on. It added just a little bit of interest. We didn't want to make it too busy, but we wanted to add. Now, when you create a canvas with your guest checks, you can certainly use this. Now, say this was my cover of my journal and I wanted to, you know, make this the centerpiece. That's how using them as canvases, look how amazing that looks. I love that. But maybe I don't want to use this on the cover itself, but I do want to use it in the journal. Of course, again, it could be a tip-in because you could write on the back. It can be a journaling card. You could even turn this into a gorgeous tag if you wanted to. Or really fun, you could take a glassine bag and attach it to the front of that and then attach your bag in your journal, which is how I would use this. Once it dries, I'm going to attach it to the bag and it's going to look amazing in a spring or summer journal. And then the last way that I have that you can decorate a guest check is, obviously you can paint them for sure. Anyway, any colors, you can paint them, you can stencil on them. That way looks great. I'm going to decoupage because actually decoupaging a napkin on a guest check looks really, really good. I had one done where I used seashells on a guest check, a napkin with seashells, and it just looks so beautiful. But I think I actually put that into one of the swaps I did for maybe a sea-themed journal. So what I'm going to do is create another sea-themed journal, but instead of using a shell napkin, I'm just going to use this pretty blue napkin. And what I've done is I folded up my little pocket already here. So I'm just going to decoupage this, and then here I would probably come back with maybe a solid blue paint. So first, let's decoupage our napkin. Now, I've dried it, and it's decoupaged on there, and how good does that look? And then what I would come back, once it's fully dry, I would sew in my pocket and put my fish on there, and I would paint this a dark blue, and that's gonna look absolutely amazing. And this is another way to decorate a guest check. And remember, guys, not only can you decorate the guest checks, but you can use them as layering pieces and as decor. Like, I cut my ticket shape out and I have all this layered together, and you can definitely throw it in there as well, and then put this on, you know, something else. So don't forget that too. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video about how to decorate and where to use guest checks. It was so much fun. If you'd like to see the completed guest checks again, check out the very end of the video. I have them all back there. Thanks for being here. Be sure and hit that subscribe button and that little bell. Also, be sure and give this video a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below. What is your favorite thing to do with guest checks, or have you ever used guest checks before? Thanks for being here. I'll see you next time. Bye.